Former students. What was the reason your teacher got fired? Story 1. We had this amazing math teacher that everyone loved. She was super sweet and would even let us listen to music in class, even though it was against school rules. One day, between classes, she caught 2 of the school's bad boys exchanging drugs. Since they were seniors, just 2 months from graduation, and legally adults, they could have been arrested and charged as grown-ups. But she decided to just confiscate everything and not report them. Problem was, the school security guard, a total jerk, saw the whole thing and snitched. The teacher got fired for covering for them. The entire school went nuts. We organized a huge protest and even made t-shirts to support her. We didn't manage to get her job back, but at least we tried. Story 2. In 10th grade, I had a science teacher who was, to put it mildly, a complete asshole. Fresh out of his master's degree, he thought he was the smartest, funniest, and coolest person alive. Some students actually fed his ego, which made it worse. This wasn't just me disliking him. The guy was legitimately psycho. If you didn't kiss up to him, he'd punish you. One girl made the mistake of politely correcting him in class. Next exam, she failed, even though all her answers were right. The worst moment, she calmly asked him to review her grade because the score didn't match the number of correct answers. In front of everyone, he gave this twisted, sarcastic smile and said loud enough for the whole class to hear, "Well, looks like you're not as smart as you thought, huh?" She started whispering nervously, clearly breaking down. He kept going. "Maybe you should have studied harder. Then you'd learn you're not always right." She asked why her grade was so different from someone with similar answers. He just laughed while she went back to her seat crying. Happy ending, though. He screwed over a bunch of us. We gathered evidence independently, and the next year he was gone. Not sure if our complaints were the final nail, but he never came back. Story 3. In my first year of high school, I had this legendary teacher who basically let us do whatever we wanted in his class. The school had super strict rules, but with him we could even eat in the classroom. People brought candy, gum, nothing crazy. One morning I realized I hadn't had breakfast, so I brought a small box of cereal, a bowl, and milk, knowing I had his class first period. Halfway through class I started eating. Right at that moment, the principal knocked and walked in and saw me with my cereal. She lost it. Most embarrassing moment of my life. The teacher defended me hard, saying, "It's my classroom. I decide the rules." They stepped into the hallway, closed the door, and suddenly we heard him absolutely yelling at the principal. That was a Friday. He never came back. Not Monday, not ever. Later, another teacher told us he'd been fired and had moved to Iraq to teach at a university. Best teacher I ever had. I'll never forget him. Story 4. One day our English teacher showed up drunk and started talking about her boobies and how every guy loves them. She even asked the boys in class if they wanted to touch them. When the head of studies found out, they asked her to resign. Instead of fighting it, she just agreed. A month later, we found out she'd been hooking up with several senior students. Story 5. At my school, physics teacher locked 3 girls in the classroom with him and wouldn't let them leave. Same day, the tech teacher made a homemade firework, lit it in class, and the fire spread to 3 classrooms before they put it out. The PE teacher, who was also head of studies, got banned from supervising girls on the trampoline. Yeah, we can all guess why. The English, music, and French teachers all had nervous breakdowns and never came back. My school was officially the second worst in all of Great Britain in 1997. Story 6. A teacher had compromising photos on his school computer, including nudes of another teacher from our school. This stuff happens more than people think with young single teachers on Tinder and Instagram. Some of my friends who are teachers now are very active on Insta, and I always worry what would happen if a student found their profile. Most don't even have it private. Dating apps are full of young teachers because it's hard for them to meet people, and the pics are usually clubbing or bikini shots. Imagine swiping right on your 24-year-old teacher on Tinder. Nightmare fuel. Story 7. Chemistry teacher got into a huge fight with the principal over pay cuts for all staff. It escalated so much that the teacher went to his car, grabbed the thankfully empty baby seat from the back, and used it to smash the principal's car hood and doors. Fired on the spot. Story 8. My 9th grade music teacher got fired for basically not doing his job. He looked like a normal guy, but acted like he didn't care at all. We just did whatever. I finished homework for other classes. Most kids napped or watched YouTube. Reggie from the Encontress was big back then. He'd randomly leave to chat with other teachers mid-lesson. The school took forever to fire him because he actually knew a ton about music, but he was more interested in being a free spirit than teaching. Story 9. The principal of my school went hunting the day before and accidentally left a shotgun on the back seat of his car. Security found it, called the police, and even though it was 100% legal, they fired him as a precautionary measure. Zero tolerance era. No one wanted to risk keeping him if something ever happened. Story 10. In 9th grade, our literature teacher showed us the 1968 Romeo and Juliet, the one with Olivia Hussey. There are a couple of very brief, totally innocent nude scenes. Some parents lost their minds, sent formal complaints, and the teacher got fired days later. Story 11. School trip to a World War II museum with my German teacher. A Holocaust survivor was telling his story. My teacher stood up and started arguing with him, claiming the Holocaust never happened the way he said, and that it was all Hollywood propaganda to force Germany to pay huge reparations. Yeah, she didn't last long after that. Story 12. Years ago, our art teacher was out one day and we had a substitute. We were working on digital art and needed floppy disks. Yes, 3.5-inch floppies. One kid didn't have one, found a random disk lying around, and asked the sub if he could use it. Sub said yes. Turns out it was the regular teacher's personal disk full of his porn collection. The whole class saw it. He was fired the next day. Story 13. Our school was elite. Top 10 students every year went to Harvard, Yale, etc. The new principal somehow managed to piss off the 3 most powerful department heads in just 2 months. Then the school newspaper, run by brilliant senior girls, published articles about birth control and tattoos. The principal banned the issue and confiscated all copies. The girls sued for First Amendment rights. The story went national. We ended up on CNN and won a big free speech award. All the department heads she'd alienated refused to back her, and she was forced out by April. Sweet victory. Story 14. French teacher was a bit crazy and always banged her heels on desks, super annoying. One day she allegedly threw her high heel at a student and got fired. Some kids protested, but honestly I couldn't stand her, so I was fine with it. Story 15. Math teacher was secretly dating the language arts teacher. Everyone knew except the staff. One night they parked on train tracks at the local Walmart to hide the car in the dark. They got out, and a train smashed the empty car. That's how the whole school found out. Story 16. Special ed teacher used to randomly take 5 of her students out of school every week, supposedly for meds. Turns out she was posting photos on Facebook of them in her car drinking alcohol, smoking, and even doing the dab. The photos were timestamped during school hours. She was fired instantly. The kids faced no punishment. Story 17. My religion teacher got fired in his first year because his own son tested positive for drugs at school. The administration said they had to protect the school's reputation. He was actually an awesome teacher, especially when he taught religious history. Felt really unfair. Story 18. Chemistry teacher gave me detention and kicked me out of class for putting a curse on his family. Dead serious. He publicly accused me of making his kids sick so bad they had to go to the hospital. The whole class was stunned. He got fired the next semester. Story 19. Over 10 years ago, 2 teachers got fired. 1. Hot 30-something English teacher got caught sleeping with 2 senior boys at the same time. 2. Early 20s math teacher and cheer coach got caught doing the exact same thing, and one of the boys was the same kid from the English teacher scandal. Total chaos.